Hey, my Liptons. I hope all of you can hear me well. I'm actually recording on my laptop. I've actually previously recorded on my laptop when I was doing some of my Bollywood film reviews. And I don't know, at the time I didn't like the audio. So hopefully the audio for when I do this Aradhana review will be good. Listen, I know for the people that are subscribed to me for my Hindi film content, my Bollywood content, I know y'all are a little bit disappointed because I know you all have been hearing from me say for weeks and weeks and weeks the Aradhana film review will be coming, the Aradhana film review will be coming, and I kept procrastinating and I kept procrastinating. But you know what? Today is the day where I finally give you all, especially the people that are subscribed to me for my Bollywood content, I finally give you all my Aradhana film review. Before I continue on with this video, please subscribe to my channel. Okay, let's get up to 1,000 subscribers. The goal is to get up to 1,000. Like I said before, if y'all want to watch any of my previous Hindi film reviews, I do have a Bollywood talk slash ZTV talk playlist on my channel. Please go to my playlist. It's all there. I previously discussed ZTV shows. I discuss my favorite Hindi films that I have watched in recent years, and obviously I'm in the era of the old is gold era. So of course, as you can see, me watching Aradhana is one of those old is gold films that I've watched as in recent years. Okay. So, like I said, please subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers. Hopefully, by 2025, we can get there. So, yes, um, I have, like I said, I've been on a marathon. I've been on this old is gold marathon of Hindi films. You already know my feelings about Hindi films as in recent years. But obviously, when it comes to the more older films, like from the 50s, from the 60s, 70s, 80s, it doesn't matter. I've been really into that lately, especially with their music, the movie soundtracks. They've really been my favorite thing. And one of the films, or the I would say actors that I have recently has been on my radar is Rajeshkhanna and Sharmilatagore. These two actors were huge stars during their day, and I knew that I wanted to do a film review about these two. Um, Obviously, if you already know my format when it comes to the Hindi films that I watch, I always briefly discuss like the film, and then towards like the end of the video, I discussed, the actors, how they came about for the film, their personal lives at that time during 19. I think this was released in 1969. If I'm not mistaken, yeah. So November 7, 1969. So Aradhana was released many many moons ago, but it is still something that is this movie was a huge hit in Bollywood in 1969. It was a blockbuster. It made Rakesh Khanna into a huge star, and obviously Sharmila Tagore, she was already a star when this film came out, but it definitely, obviously if any hit film is a great film. So yes, let's get into this review. So Aradhana, which means worship in translation into English, was a film directed by Shakiti Samantha. Hopefully, I'm saying his name right. He was the director of the film, and he has previously worked with Sharmila Tagore as well. Um, Before that, so Samantha, yeah, should be, yeah. So I'm getting into it because I took some notes. So the film starts out with Sharmila Tagore's character, and her name is Vandana, and Rakesh Khanna's character, whose name is Arun. So in the beginning, they start off like with her on the train, and he's coming. Him and his friend are coming up behind the train in the car, and they immediately get into song. They're already singing. "Maine sapno ke rani mujhe aayegi tu, da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da." So that's my song. So they start off with that, and it was a beautiful song, mind you. That song has been cameoed in so many films. Like you can talk about, shahrukhkhan films. Like he's cameoed that song a bunch of times. So it starts off with that. So it starts off with Arun singing to Vandana while she's on the train, and Vandana is the daughter of Dr. Gopal. Um, and obviously, yeah. So we're getting into that. Um, and obviously, upon like multiple meetings over a few days between Vandana and Arun, they start, liking each other. They start, falling in love with each other. Um, and then they eventually get engaged, right? So they actually secretly got married in a temple, without any rituals or exchanging any like garlands. That's all a part of the Hindu tradition. Um, However, they did plan to get married in a formal ceremony in front of their relatives and friends. Also, Arun is an Air Force officer as well. Okay, so keep that in mind. Um, so they plan to get married. But it rains heavily, and then they end up taking refuge in a shelter with the fire, and then they end up they end up having sex. Okay, they end up getting intimate with each other. Um, and Arun basically tells her not to be ashamed of like their intimacy, as they have accepted each other in every way, like in front of God, because technically they eloped. Um, and then he said that he promises to be back in some time to get married. And then within days, Arun dies in a plane crash, and then Vandana discovers that she is pregnant. Okay, so you can already tell that in and of itself is a problem, especially during those times. You're talking 1960s India. You girl, you get eloped, or you run away, you get eloped with a guy without anybody witnessing the marriage. If you already know, in certain cultures, that is a, like, some people will consider that, even though you elope, you being eloped also means like you having a illegitimate marriage, because I think they say like in some cultures like three people need to be present while you're getting married. And then on top of that, like, you get intimate with him or he gets intimate with you, but it's on both ends. And then he takes off and goes to work, and then he ends up dying in a plane crash, and now you're preggers. It's just like, Vandana, girl, you're about to go through it. um but yes, so that happened. So then she discovers that she's pregnant. Autumn's family is unable to accept her as a daughter-in-law. Her father also dies, leaving her, she's just a mess. She's heartbroken and everything. And then Vandana's son is born, and the son's name is Suraj, and she puts her son Suraj up for adoption, um, hoping to adopt him the next day legally, but is forced to let a childless couple adopt him. Okay, so then and she still wants to be a part of it, but then again, I'm like, girl, like, why would you put him up for adoption if you that's the part I didn't understand. I'm like, why would you put him up for adoption if you just plan to adopt him? Like, that's your son. Like, they don't put him up for adoption. But then again, I understand, due to the circumstances and due to everything that was happening at that time, it was like a choice that she had to make. But then it's like, okay, you want the child back, but then it's like it's too late. But yeah, so um yeah, so she's still determined to be a wants to be a part of her son's life. Then she accepts the role of being like a babysitter or a nanny. And then one day, her employer's brother-in-law finds her alone in the house and attempts to molest her. But then Suraj, her son, who's an actual son, rescues her by stabbing him to death and runs away. And then when the police arrive, Vandana takes the blame for the murder and is arrested. So this is this film. I really really like this film. I really really love this film. I enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm gonna get to like my thoughts on it and everything like that. But yeah, so she ends up taking the blame for her son after the son runs away, and then years later, when Vandana is released, the jailer takes her to his home and introduces her to his daughter, Renu. Vandana soon meets Renu's love, Suraj, which is her son, and he is the image of his father and a pilot too. So basically, Vandana's son is basically Rajesh Khanna played two parts in the film. Like so he played obviously Arun, but he also played Suraj in when he got older as an adult. And now he is married to the jailer's daughter. So and he's also a pilot too, conveniently. So and then he has the sensation of having seen Vandana before, but his memories are fleeting, so he doesn't really remember his mother. Um and then he's like anxious and stuff, and then that the true story of his parents may cause him pain. Vandana tries to run away. Suraj is injured in an air crash like his father, but survives. While he is recuperating in the hospital, Vandana meets Mandan. He knows the truth of Arun and Vandana's romance and is anxious to tell Suraj all, but Vandana fears the consequences. Um, and then obviously one day looking through the papers in the room while waiting for Vandana, Suraj finds Arun's photo, his father, and then he realizes that Arun and Vandana are his true parents. Becomes clear. He recognizes his mother's sacrifices and celebrates her strength and courage. So that's basically like the over, and that's my notes. I wrote everything, came up with everything together. But that's basically like the summary about what the film is about. I will say this though, the film is on YouTube, so if anybody wants to go watch it, it is there. They also have it in English subtitles for anyone that wants the English subtitles version as well. So just type in Aradhana and then you will have the English subtitles version that will pop up. So like I said, you had Sharmilatagore, who did a great job playing Vandana. Um, you also had Rajeshkhanna, who played a double role. So he played um, Arun, and he also played Suraj. And there's some people. I remember when the film came out, and Sharmila Tagore talked about this in a previous interview. Um, they said that like when the film came out and the audiences and the critics were watching the film and they saw Rajesh Khanna play the double role, so when Rajesh Khanna ended up playing Suraj, and when the critics saw it, they actually started laughing because they were like, like, what is this, like, why is he playing a double role? And the director of the film, Shankiti, I think his name is Shankita Samantha, he was like, he genuinely thought that the film was gonna flop after when he heard the critics laughing at that part where you know I guess you could say he's like a reincarnation. I don't want to hopefully I'm that is correct, but like um when basically Arun was reincarnating into Suraj, that's the part where critics kind of started laughing a little bit. So then he walked out of the theater, the director did, and then they actually had to come after him, Sharmila and his crew, and say, "Oh my God, no! Like, come back! Like, the film is a hit. People actually like it, But they thought that was a little bit ridiculous. For me, my own personal taste, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Sometimes I don't enjoy the double role thing because I feel like just cast a new actor to play that role. Like sometimes it's not needed to be creating these double roles because it's ridiculous sometimes. But I understood it for that. Um, But yes, so um I know Farida Jalal played Shuraj's wife, um Renu. So that was that. But yeah, but as I said, this film did actually, it did amazing at the box office back in 1969. It was a huge hit. It was a blockbuster. Um, Let me just say this: this film was actually Rajesh Khanna's. I don't want to say, like, was it his first big hit film? I think that this, yeah, I think this film was the one that really made him into a star. You know what I mean? Like, Rajesh Khanna had, I think, a few films. Like, he just recently came into the industry at that time, so it was like people knew him, but like they didn't really know him in that way. But then when he took the role of Aradhana and he played the double role in this film, it was such a huge hit, and it actually did a lot. I would say it actually did more for, obviously, for Rajesh Khanna. It also did something for Sharmila Tagore as well, because, well, let's just discuss it. So Sharmila Tagore, but who, by the way, Sharmila Tagore is the mother of Saif Ali Khan, and she was also married to Mansoor Ali Patodi, who is the father of who is the father of Saif Ali Khan, who was also a big cricketer at that time. But yes, Sharmila Tagore, let's be very clear. Sharmila Tagore was a huge star before Aradhana. Like, she already had hits under her belt. Like, she is Bengali. Like, she came into Hindi cinema. I also think that she was also related to, like, a famous poet. Um, but yes, like, she was a huge star at that time. Had hits under her belt. She was like seen as the belle of Bollywood. Um, so before Aradhana, right? Before Aradhana, she had a little bit of controversy, actually. Sharmila Tagore. So she, mind you, like I said, she was a huge star. She had hits under her belt, but she also she did this photo shoot, right? Which she did this photo shoot for Filmfare magazine, which is like the biggest like the way how we consider, like, uh in America, like, how do you say it? Like, not Vogue, but like, I don't know, like Deadline or Vanity Fair, Vanity Fair. Like how we consider like Vanity Fair in America, like this huge big thing like for movies and stuff. That's the same way how Film Fair is in India, I guess you can say. So I hope that was a good comparison. But she did this spread for Film Fair, and in the magazine, she posed in like this bikini, right? Now, when she's posed, let me pull up the photo. Let me see if I can pull it up. Hopefully I can. Let me see. Hopefully y'all can see it. Sharmila Tagore. She did this bikini spread, and it caused a bunch of controversy at the time. Which, by the way, obviously now, like, it would not be that big of a deal. But yeah, this is the spread. This is how. Hopefully, I can see it. This is the. Yeah. So at the time, especially if you're talking about late 60s India, this was not accepted. Okay. You, like, especially, don't get me wrong, there were women in who wore bikinis at that time, but like those women were always considered more scantily clad, like they weren't, you know what I mean? Like, remember, Sharmila Tagore was considered like the belle of Bollywood. So her posing for, you see, she's even talked about it. Her posing for a bikini spread was not acceptable, especially like for her image at the time. So when she did this, it caused a whole bunch of controversy. Mind you, this is obviously now, when you look at this in 2024, um set of eyes. You're like, well, what's wrong with it? Y'all acting as if like she is like bare, like breast, or doesn't have anything on it. She's just wearing a bikini. But like I said, at that time, especially in India, it was very conservative. Um, they didn't like their women to be posed in this manner or to be shown like this, especially for an actress of her caliber at that time. So when she posed for Filmfare like this, like I said, it caused a whole bunch of controversy. Um, she even said that, like, Sharmila even spoke about it. She said that the parliament within India actually had a whole like thing about it as well. Like they even commented about it and saying, "Oh, how disgraceful it was," and blah 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 blah. And she basically needed some damage control. Okay, so she needed some damage control for these images that came out, and basically and she had a good relationship with the director uh of the director that did Aradhana. So she was like, "Listen, like, you need to give me this film. Like, I need to do this film." And at first, from what I've heard, that she wasn't like the first option to do Aradhana, but I don't know. I think eventually they just ended up giving her the role. I think, while yes, she did want to do the role, but at the same time, I also felt like her doing Aradhana was also meant for her as damage control. So I think, two things can be true at the same time, especially for the fact that, like, Rakesh Khanna was also somewhat of like an unknown uh actor. So it was like, well, you're already established, Sharmila. You already have your things. Like, why do you want to do this film? And why do you want to do it with an unknown actor? But she did it, and honestly, it was good on her end to do it too, because it's like it the film was a huge hit. So it was great for her. Um but yes, so also around this time too, Sharmila Tagore she actually got married around that same time too. So was she got married to Patodi, Mansoor Ali Khan Patodi, who was the famous cricketer at that time. He actually passed away. Um, but yeah, like, so she got married at that time, and she was saying, like, oh my god, like, around that time, like, my wedding was happening, and like I gained a bunch of weight, and all these different things. So this was, in a weird way, this was like a whirlwind year for Sharmila Tagore, if you really think about it. Like, her getting married, um around this time, her filming, and also, and it's no shade, but like also her filming with Rajesh Khanna. And y'all already know Rajesh Khanna, um as y'all know, Rakesh Khanna and Sharmila Tagore, obviously this is like their very first film that they did together, and because of this film doing so well and it was a blockbuster hit, they ended up doing future films together as well. One of them being Amra Prem, and y'all, depending on my mood, I think I might end up uploading Amra Prem um up on my channel tonight too. I just have to see how the editing process will go for me, but yeah, like, these two, from what I've read, um, so far, I don't think that like I don't think that they disliked each other, but I think that Sharmila Tagore was definitely annoyed with her working relationship with Rajesh Khanna, because, for the ones that are like that know this by heart, you already know Rajesh Khanna was always, always, always late to the sets. He was never early. To save his life. Um, he was always late, and on top of that, like, when you're a huge star and when you become like a blockbuster hit in the way that he did overnight with Aradhana, he was just like, nobody can tell him nothing. So I think that, like, especially with her and her being a new wife, and her handling things, in the way that she did. She did try to, stick it out for as long as she could, but then eventually when Ragesh Khanna's star power went down and she started venturing out working with other people, she actually stated this herself, like she was actually happy because now, her working with other actors, she was able to actually go home on time and do all those different things. Whereas like where she was working with Ragesh Khanna, she'll be probably on set by like 8 a.m. and he won't come by until like maybe 1 p.m. or something, or 2 p.m. So that's how late he will be, according to some reports. So, um, yeah, like even though like they had great hit films, they look great together on screen, beautiful people on screen, but like Ragesh Khanna too, from what I've heard, his ego was a little bit big as well. Um, so yeah, those are just my thoughts on Aradhana and this wonderful film. It was a great film at the end of the day. Rakesh Khanna, like I said, became a huge overnight sensation after Aradhana. They said that the way girls were acting towards Rakesh Khanna, like they said that women would like chase after his car. They will, leave lipstick marks on his car. They will marry his picture. Apparently, like if go back, y'all need to go do your research. It says like from what I've read, they said that women in Bollywood they were so much in love with Rajesh Khanna that they would put a garland over his picture and marry his picture, his poster. And especially for like the day that he got married to Dimple Kapadia, they said that there was a huge suicide rate within girls and women the day that he got married. That's how much like a huge effect Rajesh Khanna had. Like that's the star. That's why they call him Superstar Rajesh Khanna. Like that was his name in Bollywood. His Bollywood name was Superstar Rajesh Khanna because that's how much of like a huge like how much he just touched people's hearts and how much people loved him, and I guess you can even say idolized him. Personally, I don't believe in idolized kind of worship, but like that's how people were. Like it got to that point, like people, women were legit, like they legit killed themselves the day Rakesh Khanna got married. You can go look that up. It's up. It's in those articles. So, but yes, and obviously, Sharmilatagore, when she got married, it caused a little bit of controversy, not too much, obviously not to the extent of Rajesh Khanna, but like, you know, Sharmila Tagore was Hindu and her husband was a Muslim, so that also, there's a little bit of tension there, but everything, and I think they did state that she did get a little bit of death threats for that, when she got married to Mansoor Patodi, but everything worked out well. They had three beautiful children, obviously Saif Ali Khan, Soha, Sabha, um, and Saif Ali Khan also went on to become an actor as well. I will say this though. I don't think that Saif Ali Khan is, even though Saif Ali Khan does have some hits, but he was never, I guess you could say, up to like the star power as like his mother in Bollywood. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on that to end it right there. Still love you, Saif Ali Khan. No shade. But yes, please tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. How do you guys like my Aradhana review? Tell me how you guys feel about it. Did you guys enjoy it? And I will be putting up my Amra Prem review hopefully this week, or maybe today. Hopefully, it depends on my mood. Um, but yes, please subscribe to the channel. Let's get up to 1,000 subscribers, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.